Hello, you short, hollow husk of nothingness. It's June 30th, 2022, and welcome to the S Rank Media Club. I'm Colton Wallace, joined by my co host Quinn Foster
Hey guys, how's it going?
and Kudrow.
Good evening, everyone.
This week on the show for you, we're gonna rank Hollow Knight, and we're gonna go in depth on Stranger Things, the whole series, up through season 4, part 1, in preparation for the season 4, part 2, releasing tomorrow on Netflix. So Quinn, how's the week been?
It's been pretty good, pretty good. Got to play some Raft. So I think on Monday, or not Monday, the previous Monday actually, they released the final update for Raft. It's a co-op survival crafting game, sort of, but it takes place on a moving raft. So you have to basically build a raft. And then there's a little bit of a storyline, which is nice, and you upgrade. So you start with having to fish and that sort of thing, and purify the seawater. So it's pretty enjoyable. We've played it through up to the stopping point. So they did it kind of in chapters. So we had played it all the way as far as we could, but they just released kind of the final chapter. So that's kind of we're gonna restart the essentially the whole game and create a new save and go through that entire thing. So,
and how is progress gated in that? If you're continuously moving along a river, is it just like procedurally generated and you kind of level up as you complete objectives, or what's the
so I believe it's by time played. And the way it works is there's major islands and then there's like minor islands. So there's these minor islands which are kind of small, and you can get wood, food, flowers, and then you can dive underwater and get like scrap metal and metal ingot or metal ore, I should say, seaweed. So you pass through, and then simultaneously as you're going through these islands, you pick up trash out of the water. So you pick up plastic, wood, and palm leaves, and those are kind of the base materials that you use throughout the game that help you update and upgrade your gear. That sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So I guess to answer your question, there's these major islands, and then that's when you kind of hit a checkpoint in the game. So that'll update kind of the game, and then there's also specific things that you need to craft in order to go further in the game. So once you craft those, I believe the game realizes, oh, we should make them go towards this place, or towards this place. Because you're floating with the water current, essentially. You can build a sail, but you don't necessarily need one, I don't think. You could just float the entire time. So it's pretty fun. Would recommend it. I think it's up to 8 people.
Gotcha.
We were running into, I think we had 6 people going at once, and
oh wow,
our raft was a little small for 6 people. So I definitely recommend updating your raft if you're having that many people. Obviously, the more people you have, the more resources you can gather. But
it sounds fun to play with 8 people.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Good time. So I definitely recommend it, especially with the new update. They added, essentially, they call it another chapter. So it's the final chapter, and they added a few other cosmetic things and stuff like that too. So would definitely recommend it. In terms of video games, that's really the only like unique thing I've played. Besides, I played a little Rocket League and Valorant as usual.
Yeah.
So, kind of to go ahead to this weekend, we're looking at going to this kind of VR virtual reality experience place. So I guess what it looks like to me is they have these different games, and you put like a backpack on, you put a headset on, and then you get a gun, and then you essentially play a VR game, which I'm thinking is going to be really cool. So I guess I'll report back after that.
Is it like a VR game in an open space kind of deal?
Yes. Yeah. So
I feel like that's that's where the coolest VR idea is. And I think they've had that for a longer time, because essentially it's like VR, but essentially you're using a real space. Right. So, God, that'd be the coolest thing ever. Like it's okay. Take a step with me here. It's Phantasy Star Online, and you're just in a big room that's like, I don't know, 30 feet wide by 200 feet long. And you go through encounters, where you go down to the one side and then you do an encounter coming back the other way. Wow, it's my dream.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So it looks like it takes place in like a room, like you said, and then
Yeah.
I know the typical VR you usually use like the Joy Cons to move, but in this case,
Okay.
if you walk forward and whatever sensors pick it up and move you in game. So
Gotcha. Yeah, you'll have to tell us about that next week.
Yeah, I'd love.
yeah, they have quite a
can't
few
wait to hear
different
about
games. So yeah, we just moved to the Dallas area, so we're finding all the different things to do in Dallas, and that seems to be one of the cooler ones. So we'll let you know if we do it.
Yeah.
I want to, so we'll see.
Awesome.
That's kind of it again for video games. I did watch the first episode of Demon Slayer. It just came up on my Netflix. I'm like, oh, let's give it a watch. So first impressions, I thought it was pretty good. Definitely want to watch more and see what it's kind of about. I believe there's only one. I don't even know if there's seasons. It just seems like there was one chunk of episodes. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
I've seen all of it.
What's the setting? What is kind of the setting of the first episode? What is it? He's fighting demons with a sword?
So you first encounter the kind of this family, and then there's the oldest male or guy that he has to go into town to deliver charcoal because I guess they live up on a mountain. What I assume is in Japan or
okay, so it's like
it's
an older period then. It's not like a current day kind of deal.
Yeah, they did have power lines running through the village, but it was pretty old in my opinion. So
okay,
there are some subtle hints in the series that tells me it would take place in the Meiji era, which is right around the time when in Japanese history that like Western things were starting to get incorporated into the culture. Technology was starting to advance. Sword bands were in place.
Is that like 1950?
No. Meiji, I think was. I don't want to say a date and be wrong. So
that's fine. All right. Well,
let me look that up. At the very least, it was kind of like you're kind of looking at like post samurai.
Oh, okay. So like way earlier. Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, he goes into the town, and then it's the winter, I believe, and so or the start of winter, I guess, is what they hint at, and he's leaving town to go home, kind of late at night, and this guy is basically like, you shouldn't go home because there's demons, human-eating demons, and he's like, okay, I'll stay with you, and then turns out he goes back first light to his house, and
the demons kill his whole family.
Demons kill his family.
Every time.
Right. So I don't want to say much more, but the story it seems really good right now. And,
I mean, that gives me an idea of what it kind of is. Yeah.
So it's kind of like an character arc of he's got to defeat the demons and help his family essentially. So that's kind of what it seems like to me, and it definitely going to watch more. So can't give it a rating right now, but we'll watch more. So, and then last thing, I was just scrolling through HBO Max, I think, and I came upon Rush Hour, 2001, I believe. And just an enjoyable movie to watch.
Had you ever seen it before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's some questionable lines in it, like where Jackie Chan says the N-word, but it's still hilarious. So.
I don't remember liking it back when it came out, but I don't know.
You couldn't make it today. That's all I'll say.
Fun fact about that movie, actually. I took a public speaking course in college, and I actually used a scene from that movie to discuss in some ways to discuss the barriers of communication that were taking place in the scene. It was a scene where Jackie Chan's character was getting off the plane and first meeting Carter.
Okay.
And just kind of like talking about the dialogues. I remember one of the more offensive statements like, Mr. Rice-A-Roni.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
There's lots of things like those in the movie, so be prepared if you watch it. But
gotcha. Kudra, how was your week?
Not too bad. I'm playing a lot of Smash Ultimate this week.
Really?
I got a buddy of mine. He had surgery last week, so he's kind of been sitting at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of, his wife and his brother, they work a lot, so they're not really able to check in on him as much in like the morning and such. So
I gotcha.
I've kind of been hanging out with them like early afternoon and such. So that's kind of just what we do. We just play Smash for a few hours at a time. I think like on Monday, I think I spent like 6 hours just playing Smash with them.
Who's your mains at this point?
I mean, my main and my best character is still Toon Link.
Okay.
But I play a variety of characters.
Yeah.
I'm not too bad with Zelda. My Joker's gotten better.
That's not a Smash character.
He is as of he was the first DLC.
Yeah, I haven't played it since then, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, basically, like probably with the exception of Zelda, if they have a sword, I've probably played them.
Okay.
I'm that guy.
Wow.
Other than that, let me see here. I mean, other than rewatching Stranger Things, I went out yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was Tuesday. I caught a movie with a buddy of mine about from the Fruits Basket anime. Fruits Basket Prelude.
What is that? What is Fruits Basket? I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that.
Okay, so the other alternative name I have for Fruits Basket is Everyone is a Terrible Parent, but because that's so basically what it's about is it's about this incredibly dysfunctional family called the Somas, and and this family is cursed. Effectively, what the curse is that they're all possessed by these creatures. Like they represent the Chinese zodiacs. So one of the effects of their curse, which is how our main character, or at least our main female protagonist, finds out about it is like when they get hugged by a member of the opposite sex, they turn into the animal that they're possessed by.
So one of them turns into a rat?
Yeah, actually the rat is one of the main characters.
Oh, sad.
But yeah, so, and it kind of details about like how the family dynamics within the Soma, which is incredibly dysfunctional and toxic. The series also has focus on our other character who's outside the Somas, which is a character by the name of Toru. And how she's trying to help the Somas, kind of like work through various things. But then we find out that she's not exactly the happy-go-lucky person that she seems either, because she's dealing with a lot of baggage and such.
So last week you made me watch an anime with no demons in it and no actual fighting. Is that the same case here? Are you is you bringing another one of those to me?
Oh yeah. This is like this is like romance drama.
Oh gosh.
So yeah. If you're looking for action, don't watch this one. This one's if you're looking for drama, romance, and incredibly dysfunctional families, watch this one.
All right, I won't commit to this one then.
It's probably fair. But I mean, for a drama and for a romance, I've seen far worse than this. So
you were able to see it in theaters though?
Yeah, so they did the movie to it, and it was supposed to serve as like the prequel. So effectively, the story kind of gives you like a little bit of an overview with Toru's parents. Like you kind of see a little bit of them, and like you hear about their relationship secondhand. You also get a little bit about Toru's mom through flashbacks. But this was the movie that was really going to go over how Toru's mom met Toru's father and really focus on their relationship.
Yeah.
Though inexcusably, the movie spent like the first 30 minutes just recapping the important parts of the anime. And then I actually got about 50 minutes of the plot that I bought the ticket for. And then like a 5-minute recap of the ending of the anime. So,
from your description, I'm going to say it's not any good and you shouldn't watch it.
I disagree with that.
Well,
I mean,
we can have our disagreements.
The show and the movie, like they weren't bad. I mean, I would probably never rewatch the show, but for a one-time watch, I don't regret spending my time on it.
So we'll stay with anime here for my week. Last week, Kudrow had talked about Comey Can't Communicate, an anime on Netflix. And I then committed to watching the first 3 episodes to really get an idea about this anime with no demons and no swords. And what I can say about it is it's not bad. It's a high school girl who can't speak words in the beginning from what I've seen in the first 3 episodes, and then there's a high school boy who's not very popular who like starts kind of communicating with her, and there's no demon shown, but I'm thinking when Comey freaks out and like gets all tensed up and shaky that she sees demons whenever anyone tries to talk to her. Though these demons are never shown or spoken of, they could be there. We don't know. But other than that, it's a show about talking. There's these really original, cool scenes where they have like social combat, and I don't know. You can tell me I don't watch a lot of anime, so I don't know. But to me, the like social combat scenes, and they have these scenes where individual characters have these colorfully animated monologues, and they're very comedic, and that's probably the best part of the show. Kudrow, is that typical in anime, or is that actually kind of original in this show? Because I haven't seen a lot of these non-demon animes.
I don't watch a lot of slice of life stuff.
I gotcha.
So it's kind of hard for me to say, like, because I feel like most of the comedy in the anime that you're alluding to is the fact that like everyone's trying to get a read on this character or get close to Comey,
right?
But then it's like due to Comey's tendency to misread what people are trying to do, or just the fact that she's just so anxious around people.
Those little bits in there seem very interesting to me. But then like the overall story, like why is everyone obsessed with Comey? She doesn't speak. How does everyone just like her so much? I'm just supposed to buy into that? Because I didn't feel like I did.
Well, it's literally it's kind of alluded to, and I don't remember if this was within the first 3 episodes, but basically it's like, actually like in the first episode, like the first time Tadano sees her, it's like, oh my God, this girl's gorgeous.
It's just because she's hot then? She's just hot, so everyone in the entire school just thinks she's the coolest person ever? Because that's what it's like played off like.
Well, and then the thing is too, it's like all these misunderstandings. So like the one scene where like they're meant to like introduce, like they're at the board trying to introduce themselves, and then Comey, because she can't get her name out, so she just goes up and writes the board in this like super fashionable manner.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like so it's just like it's people just completely misunderstanding her that lead them to think that she's like this really suave, really cool person, when instead she's just too anxious to do anything. So it's like this massive cavalcade of misunderstandings.
The moments, monologues, and parts of the interactions can be funny, but I don't know if I'm bought in on the whole like series premise. So from the first 3 episodes, I don't think it's a bad show. I think it's okay. If you like anime and you like slice of life animes, maybe it's good. I don't know that I would watch any more of it, but I can't say it was like I could watch more of it. Like I don't think it was bad at all. So I would say from 3 episodes of Comey Can't Communicate, I'll give it a C.
So one quick question.
Yeah.
When she can't communicate, she doesn't have sign language or anything. It's literally she just has no way of.
They like to draw her like shaking, and she'll try and like mutter small things, and a lot of times they get misinterpreted to lead to more hullabaloo.
Gotcha.
And it's
very comical.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like she kind of gradually develops. So like eventually she's able to kind of like maybe get like a couple words out to like Tadano and some other, like one or two other people that she's really close with. But then you also see like in other situations where instead of speaking, but she's able to like write things down on a notepad, and then she communicates that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, mildly interesting. Other than that, this week I've been rewatching Stranger Things, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I was playing Rocket League last night, and when I play Rocket League, I typically only play competitive threes and no other mode. And not that, I just have no interest in any other mode. So anyways, I was playing, dominating in Gold 3 like I usually do. And After the game, one of my teammates wanted to party up with me. And I don't usually party up because I'll play with my friends sometimes. But I'm like, all right, yeah, we'll party up. We partied up. We played 2 games. Then he backs out, enters us in a 2v2 tournament. And I don't play 2v2 unless one of my friends is like, hey, let's play 2v2. I'm like, fine, let's play 2v2. But so I kind of was like, all right, it's 5 minutes away. I should just quit. I don't want to play a 2v2 tournament. But I'm like, you know what? This guy wants somebody to play a 2v2 tournament with him. I'll play a 2v2 tournament. And then when I'm bad at 2v2, he's going to get mad at me. And, anyways, I waited. We went into the tournament and he was decent. I was decent. We were winning handily. Like we kept winning like 6-2, 5-0. Like we were rolling over people in this tournament. And then we got to the finals. So we're playing in the finals, and all the team we played in the finals was much better than any of the other teams we played up to this point. So, I'm trying, but like it was, we lost like, I think like 2-0 the first game. So that it's best of 3 when you're in the finals. And then we were losing the second game, and I'm like, shit. But the other team was good. Like, I don't think either of us like messed up too bad. It was just the other team was better than us. And we've been typing back and forth throughout the tournament. And there's 15 seconds left in the final. It's like 3 or 4-1. We've lost. Game's over. He messages me and says, fuck you. And I'm like, what? Guy, we just had a run all the way to the finals. I didn't have time to say that because he left the party right after the game was over. But man, I thought we had a good thing going. We got to the finals. Like how high do you have to get for somebody not to be like, fuck you at the end? Like this is, we got all the way to the finals, and still after we didn't win the finals, he said, fuck you. And I'm like, I thought we had a great experience. And I was like, oh, we lost, good run. Nope. Fuck you, guy.
That's the gold mentality.
Right. That's
your teammate's fault.
Oh man. So
That's
anyways, that's classic Rocket League, I guess.
You weren't voice chatting with him?
No, I refuse to use the Rocket League built-in voice chat.
I can't. I'm too worried of what I'll come across. So
yeah, that's true.
I leave that turned off.
But then I kind of love like the voice chat in like Warzone, where you get like the kill cam, like 3 seconds of mic. That's pretty fun.
Right. Yeah, that's fun.
Anyways, so we've been playing Hollow Knight for the last 3 weeks. Hopefully some of you out there have been playing along with us. But so today we are going to discuss and rank Hollow Knight. Kudrow is the one who has by far the most experience with Hollow Knight. Quinn and I both came into this as new Hollow Knight players. I have dabbled in some Metroidvania before, but not gotten super deep into many of them. But yeah, Kudrow, you want to lead us off with Hollow Knight discussion?
Absolutely. So just kind of give our audience a little bit of, what Hollow Knight is. So Hollow Knight is a 2017 Metroidvania developed by Team Cherry. The player takes control of a character that's just usually referred to as the Knight, a figure with no name and an unknown history. You see in the opening cutscene the Knights descending into a place called Hollow Nest, a subterranean kingdom of bugs that has been destroyed. And, as the Knight, you'll fight through the underground halls of Hollow Nest and you'll discover the truth of Hollow Nest's decline and the Knight's own mysterious past. And I've already ranked Hollow Knight in episode 1, so you guys kind of already know a little bit about my thoughts.
You gave it an S, correct?
I did, and I actually replayed Hollow Knight for this to talk about. So that was my 4th playthrough of the game at this point. I stand by that ranking. I still stand by it. Colton, how was your experience with Hollow Knight?
My experience with Hollow Knight overall was great. So far, I have played somewhere between 15 and 20 hours. I think I'm like 75% of the way through the game, maybe. I've unlocked 2 of the 3 dreamers. And some of the great things I can say about Hollow Knight is the art and aesthetic of the game is absolutely amazing, and it really helps to carry the game. The controls feel great. Um, Mechanics are overall pretty good. The things that bring it down for me are the Metroidvania aspects and like the the backwards platforming and replatforming through huge areas across the map because you're not close enough to the stag station, so you have to go super far across the map. But overall, I think it's a great game. So that's it. It bucks the trend of me disliking Metroidvanias. Yeah, Quinn, what are your overall thoughts?
I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think it's a good game. Like quality wise, it's great. The art, like you said, is great. Even the music is it's very calming, and it's just nice to chill out and play through it. And I think, like you said, the downfall is the vastness of having to traverse so far and wide that I don't know if my brain's just not big enough, but there's just times where I don't remember where I am, even though I have a map that shows exactly where I am. That like I can't remember what I've seen and what I haven't seen, even with like the added benefits of the pins and stuff like that. So it just becomes a struggle for me. I like the movement is nice, the attacking is nice, like all the different power, spirit power shot, the cloak, like the dashing is all really nice. I just don't think it's really my type of game, but
gotcha.
I think it's a really good game though. Like for who it's probably directed at, I can see why I can see why Kudrow loves it and ranked it S, for sure. So
he just looks like a Hollow Knight player.
Well, I mean, okay. So as you guys know, I'm a Souls fan, and the reason why I was drawn to Hollow Knight in the first place is because the game really does wear a lot of its Souls influences on its sleeve. Because you're kind of, in addition to when you're fighting through stuff, I mean, you're given pretty little direction within the story, and you're kind of trying to piece things together, whether that be from like the limited descriptions of the charms or the limited dialogue that you have. And I mean, I found that I really enjoy that with games that I play. It's like, if I got to do some of the investigative work to really understand what's happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, just to kind of echo what you guys said, I mean, yeah, the art style is fantastic. The music is great. Fun thing about the music, last week, it was Monday. I was going to grab a pizza. And
wait, hold on. What kind of pizza are you going to get?
Thin crust pepperoni and sausage with extra cheese.
Okay. That's good. I like thin crust pizza.
It's become a favorite of mine in recent history.
Nice.
But yeah, so I actually turned on the radio and they were actually playing Hollow Knight music.
No, they weren't.
I swear to God.
What radio is playing Hollow Knight? Is this like your radio from your phone?
No, it was like on it was on one of the NPR stations where they were they do like the classic music. They were doing the show like Game Corner or something.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Hollow Knight music.
Wow.
I was like, what are the odds of this?
That's actually really cool. I didn't know there was a show that did that.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, this is fate. I went home, ate my pizza, and then immediately turned on Hollow Knight.
So considering it's classical like station or is it orchestrated game music always, or is there any of it that's like chip tunes?
I have no idea because that was like really the first time I've heard that program.
I got you.
I was just like, I just turned it on and that was just what the radio was on. I was like, why does this music sound so familiar to me?
Yeah.
And then it's like, and that was the music from Hollow Knight. And I'm like,
interesting.
This is not real life.
I feel like NPR would be the station that would do it though, because they're always like, hello, this is NPR. Today we're going to talk about the recent events. It's just so calming.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So yeah, I guess we can move through Hollow Knight here, kind of systematically. So I guess the one of the highest points for me is the art of it. Just the art of the characters, the art of the bosses, the background art looks great. I can't get over how cute all the characters you run into are. like the Hollow Knight himself, the dung. What's the guy's the dung?
The Dung Eater.
The Dung Eater. Yeah.
Oh
And
no,
his
not the Dung. I'm thinking of Elden Ring. God dang it. The Dung Defender.
Dung Defender, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy.
I love that guy.
He's like calling to you from like 8 screens away, and oh my gosh! And then like the giraffe bug that's eating. Like this is the best moss that I can find, so I'm here. Oh man, all the random characters you run into are amazing, and just the kind of whole art aesthetic of the game is awesome. And then everybody just makes fun of your guy for being like a lame hollow piece of shit, pretty much. Like all these characters you run into, they're like, it's okay, you're just kind of worthless.
I like the caterpillar guys.
The
that you
grubs.
save. Yeah.
The grubs.
Well, okay,
They always
Kudro.
celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They get all
just the fact that
excited.
they celebrate like that just makes it always so satisfying to save to break that jar and freedom.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like later on they like start talking you up a little bit, but I feel like so many of the people you run into make fun of you for being like a hollow nothingness.
See, I don't really remember that. Like the only person I remember being that rude to the knight is Zote. Did you guys run into Zote?
Doesn't Hornet like say demeaning things to you? Like,
Well,
doesn't she say you're kind of like a little short, hollow ball of nothing?
well, Hornet's pretty. Well, Hornet's pretty. She's stern. I don't know if I'd call her outright rude, but
I feel
Hornet,
like she's rude in the beginning and nicer later on.
I mean, I'd say that's fair, especially after you fight her for the second time. Her relationship with the knight improves dramatically.
Right, because you're like proving yourself to her, right?
Hey,
'Cause
yeah.
that's sort of the idea.
Kudro, do you know the caterpillar's like father character?
Yeah, because that's
You know what?
you go back to him.
Do you know what his official name is?
The Grub Father. I
The
believe.
Grub Father. His name is the Grub
Yeah,
Father.
and I love it. I absolutely
Oh
love it.
man. And then the 3-phase maggot creatures in what is it? The waterways.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. The voice when they like flip the fuck out and charge at you. Amazing. Worth playing just to kind of run into those guys a couple times.
Those things are some of the most annoying enemies in the game, though. Especially like the ones in the airborne, because if you don't hit them right away, then they just start buzzing
Yeah.
around you. It's so
Right.
easy to get overwhelmed in that
It
area.
is,
with
but
enemies.
the animation and like voicing and like the 3 phase of them and how each phase is just fucking wild. I love it.
Mhm.
I do love that.
The characters, I think, just overall,
Yeah.
are very well done because they have relationships that I felt like I was a part of, especially like the map dude and his wife.
Oh,
his
yeah,
wife's,
yeah.
Sitting up at top,
Wapanada.
and he's like, sitting up top, like, where the heck is my husband? Like, he just stays
Right.
down on the ground, and she's pissed off. And
Well, he's a beetle that goes underground, so
right,
Yeah, he's mapping out Hollow Nest.
so
I think
never mind. That's
Yeah.
gone.
Coral was another NPC that I really appreciated because he's the one. I mean, he's always so friendly when he meets the knight, and you're kind of just discussing various things about Hollow Nest, and you always find him at like the most tranquil places too. So
Coral's the tall guy with the mask on his face.
yeah, he's the one who wears the mask on his head.
Oh, yeah, it's okay, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And so like because like one of the was like the third time you find him, he's just like right before you drop into the City of Tears, he's just sitting on the bench listening
Yeah.
to the rain hit the glass.
Yeah, I like that guy too.
Yeah.
I like pretty much all of them, honestly. Yeah. So controls, I feel like the controls are amazing as well. They feel really tight, and I love like the jump feels kind of floaty, and you can kind of alter it as you're moving through the air. And then as you unlock the other abilities, this game allows you a lot of freedom to alter your movements in action, which I guess is kind of a difference from Dark Souls, because Dark Souls is very much you hit the button, you're gonna do it. But in this game, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to kind of like adjust yourself mid-action. Like the Crystal Heart, where you can kind of do a super dash across the screen. and like you can literally stop that mid-flight, or you can do it on the side of a wall, and it just gives you a lot of freedom. I feel like with all the abilities, and I thought that was kind of fun and cool. But yeah, did you guys? I mean, control wise, like I feel like the platforming feels really tight and it's good.
Yeah, I think it was really great controls. I did struggle a little bit directionally just to make sure that I was getting my attacks, correct and finding the range of his attack, because just something you have to get used to when you start playing a new game. But I think you had mentioned it a couple weeks ago about the attack down, how you can essentially like bounce off of different things.
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out.
Right.
That was
go ahead, Kudrow.
I was gonna say, like, that's like the one thing the game does a really poor job of explaining.
Yeah, I wish it told me that, because I spent like 20 or 30 minutes walking around like, where the hell do I go? Because I didn't realize I could bounce on those things by down attacking them. There's these little like purple things on stems that if you down attack them, you bounce, and you need that to get over certain ledges.
Yeah, and the fungal caves.
Yep.
Yeah, so knowing that was a really big benefit, because I was kind of just going through the game trying to notice where I could utilize that, and it was really helpful. I did struggle with it sometimes because I'm trying to go to the left, but also down attack, so I'd miss my attack sometimes, which would cause me to die, obviously. But that was my biggest struggle, was the kind of the directional attacks. But in terms of how they felt and the smoothness of them, it was top tier. So
I mean, moving along with controls here, the mechanics of it, so like the whole thing where you have to fight things to heal, that I like that mechanic. That's a lot of fun.
And then you have the resource management, because that same resource you use to heal is also the resource that you're using for spells.
I don't cast a lot of spells. I just save it for healing. I'm scared.
See, that was the way I did it on the first playthrough.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys were using for charms in your builds, but like I would just like load up with like Quick Slash, Mark of Pride.
Which one's Mark of Pride?
Mark of Pride is the one you can get it in the Mantis Village after you defeat the Mantis Lord, and it just it just increases the range of your nail.
Oh, wait, what about Long Nail?
Long Nail does it too, but so like Long Nail's the 2-notch version of it that only extends your range a little bit. Then Mark of Pride is a 3-notch charm that increases it greatly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I regarding charms, I have found that I have actually like the charm system's good, and where a lot of games I feel like will like mess up a system like this, where they have like way too many and a bunch of useless ones, and it's kind of like not a big enough effect that you end up using it very much. But I feel like in Hollow Knight, through many different bosses, I would alter around my charms to fit the situation. And I feel like so many games miss the mark on a system like that, where they're trying to build a system. Another good example would be like Code Vein. Like I felt like it didn't matter what I did. I was just going to dodge and slash. But like in this game, I feel like that system actually has a really big effect. And I felt like it helped me in multiple boss fights where I was struggling to equip some different charms. And for example, what was my favorite? The Quick Charge charm. I don't remember the name, but this charm allows you to heal faster, essentially. And there were fights where I felt like I couldn't heal quick enough. So it felt like I was never able to heal in the whole fight. That second fight with Hornet, where I needed to heal faster. And once I could heal faster, I was able to kind of carry out everything I wanted to and beat her. So I like the charm system a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the charm system, because every time I got a charm, I would definitely look at it and I'd have to make a decision, because it wasn't seeming to be any charms that I didn't think were useful, honestly. So it was always a risk reward. Well, if I have this one on, then I miss this, or that sort of thing. And I think that kind of plays into the overall system of the game of being able to customize your experience, right?
Yeah.
Like how Kudrow was saying, I played the first time through with just focusing on healing myself versus maybe doing more damage, or just an example, I guess. So I think that kind of adds another aspect to the game of customization, where you can really play the game however you want within those constraints, I guess, which is another added benefit to the game that makes it that much better.
Yeah.
Because my second playthrough, and actually like every subsequent playthrough, I generally tend to find myself equipping the charms that enhance spells. So like the charm, like the build that I was using by end game, because I was using Shaman Stone, Soul Eater, and Grub Song, and those are like 3 charms. No matter what I'm doing, I almost always have equipped.
Tell us what those 3 do.
So Shaman Stone increases the power of your spells. Soul Eater, Soul Eater is the powered up version of Soul Catcher. So you're just getting a lot.
Oh yeah, I use that one. Yeah, it's like a 4-notch one, right?
Yeah, it's a 4-notch one. And then Grub Song, which you get after you catch like or
15
10 grubs. Oh, 15?
10? Maybe it's 10. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it's as high as 15, but yeah.
I think you're right.
Basically you're getting soul back every time you get hit. So, and I'm almost always using those 3. But then depending on maybe what else I'm doing, I might like switch. I might like take the last 3 charm slots and do some different things with them. I think my last, usually it's Spell Twister and Nailmaster's Glory. Spell Twister uses makes spells cost less soul. Nailmaster's Glory allows you to charge up nail arts quicker. But I might also use Mark of Pride. I might also swap in like a Dream Wielder or something like that, which lets you the Dream Nail. You'll hit enemies with it faster, and you'll get more soul from it when you do.
Right. Kudro, did you ever use the at least on like a constant basis the one where you dash and slash at like it's like a super kind of dash slash thing? It's where you hit bumper off a chart, you hit the right trigger off a chart, or one of the triggers off a charge.
Wait, you're talking about the nail art, right? Dashing. Oh yeah, I actually use that a lot. That's easily the nail art I use the most.
Yeah, really, because I always felt like I had to like perfectly measure the distance and like get the charge right and then do it, and like I felt like I would always misjudge the distance and fuck it up. So I kind of stopped doing it. Maybe it's a thing where I need to play more, and then like on second playthrough, I would start utilizing it more.
See, like again, like that's kind of my experience. Like first playthrough, like I would just use spam quick slash, but like one of the uses I found for dashing slash that I just discovered on this playthrough, it's actually really useful for the Grim fight. If you guys found that one. That
name doesn't sound familiar. Okay. What fight is that?
So there are 2 fights. There's Troop Master Grim, and then there's Nightmare King Grim, and if you follow through the Grim Troop quest line.
Okay.
But it sounds like you guys didn't find that. So
I don't think I did.
It's you can start that in a hidden wall in the Howling Cliffs. I think it's really close to where you find Cornifer, the map guy. There's a hidden wall, and then you just hit like this pile of cinders, and then it'll summon the Grim Troop, and then you can kind of start that quest line. Honestly, I think that the quest line overall is probably one of the weaker ones in the game, just with like what you have to do for it. But the boss fights, which against Troop Master Grim and Nightmare King Grim, in my opinion, make it worth it because those are 2 of the better boss fights in the game. In my opinion.
Okay. So I guess kind of. Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I found a ton of uses for like dash slash just in that boss fight alone. So
interesting. I'll have to try to get better at it. I think I just might not be good at using it. Might be the problem.
Yeah, I think the one thing though is like if you look at the how long the slash gets in front of you, like it's like it'll hit a wide range in front of you. So even if you're just like in the ballpark, chances are you'll still hit. One thing that I sometimes have a problem with is like, and one other piece of advice, like just make sure you're doing dash slash instead of dashing and then using great slash. And the way I would do that is just make sure you're releasing the dash and the attack button at the same time.
Yeah, I struggled with that right at the beginning, and I still fuck it up sometimes when I try and use it. And then it's like it messes up all my timing once I fuck it up. All right, so moving on to the story and map exploration, I guess. So I like the simple story elements kind of, and I like the way all the story works and everything. That's all good. I'm not I guess if you're a person who really wants an in-depth story told to you, I don't feel like this necessarily does that. But for me, a lot of times I'd prefer it didn't. I like the way this game kind of has its story. You can go and talk to people, and I talked to all the little bugs I run into, but um I like that part of it. Um, so after you beat a certain part, after you beat, I think it's the broken vessel, the crossroads I noticed becomes the infected crossroads, and then that there's another area that becomes infected too. I was walking through, but either way, that's really cool. Like I like that, like the changes to the map after you beat a certain thing.
Mhm.
But then the biggest drawback for me with this game is the backtracking to get to certain things and situations where like I can't figure out where the hell I need to go, and like the way for me to figure out is just to walk around the map aimlessly. And I don't know, maybe some people like that aspect of it, but I really don't. I don't like having to platform backwards, re-platform a bunch of areas multiple times because I'll go and be like, "Oh shit, this wasn't the right one." Now I got to platform all the way back the other way because there's no fast travel station, which are the stag stations. They're points on the map you can go to fast travel. There's none of those, so I just have to traverse a far way across the map, and I don't really enjoy that part. I would sit there and I'd be like, "Fuck, I gotta fast travel all the way across this goddamn map again, and I don't even know if it's the right way to go." So that's probably my biggest drawback is I really get annoyed with that. I don't care to do it. Um, yeah.
One thing I might say in Hollow Knight's defense here is
Yeah.
that technically it does have a fast travel function, but you kind of have to unlock it.
Oh, there's a fast travel function outside of the stag stations.
Yeah, so
Well, how late in the game do you get it then?
it's actually tied to the Dreamnail quest. So
Oh, okay. So it's
once you
probably
get, I think, oh god, I don't know exactly how much it is. I'd have to relook at it.
the
But I
dream
think it's
nail
right
quest
around,
where
I
you
think
hit the trees and then
yeah,
you got to get the red orbs to get more points. Then you go talk to a lady who gives you unlocks as you get more
yep.
dream tree points. We'll
And
call
then you
them.
can also fight like the warrior spirits as well as there are
Yeah.
3 dream bosses in the
Mhm.
game as well, and that'll get you essence that way as well. So, but once you unlock, I think it's around like, I think it's like right around like 1200. You
Yeah.
actually unlock it.
1200.
It might be, it might be a little lower than that. I just don't remember the
Jesus.
exact number.
You
But
got to be mostly through the game at that point. You could, I mean, I feel like you finished the game without getting 1200.
Not the bet. You have to get 1800 to unlock the Dream No More ending.
But I don't care. What if I don't care what ending I get?
Well, then I mean, you don't even have. I mean, you barely have to. Well, you have to collect the Dream Nail, but I mean, you can beat the game in only a few hours if you're not really
Right.
interested in unlocking. If you're only interested in getting an ending.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'm also not saying I'm like striving to get the absolute top because I'm not getting 1800 of those things. So I guess I'm not going to get that ending.
Well, the thing is, though, it's like because you're not going to get all of the essence just by striking the roots. So,
Oh yeah, I noticed a couple times where I like killed an enemy and got an essence piece. What was that? Was that the?
That's just like something that occurs by random chance, I believe. But the big thing that you have to do is you have to fight the Dream Warrior fights, and
Okay.
and you can encounter those like on the map after you get the Dream Nail.
Mhm.
I mean, like one of them is literally like right in the resting grounds after you get the Dream Nail.
Oh, okay.
And there are a few fights like that, but then there's also 3 dream fights as
Mhm.
well, and those would be powered up versions of the Broken Vessel, the False Knight, and the Soul Master.
Mhm.
And then you get a ton of essence from fighting them.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it's like then once you get those essence, you unlock an ability called the Dream Gate. And what you can do is you can set a Dream Gate in a location, and then you can warp to that point whenever you want until you set a Dream Gate somewhere else.
That's cool, but you have to get 1800 red orbs.
No, you only have, as I said, you only have to get like 1200.
Oh,
I
it's
can look
only
up.
1200. That's
I
easy.
can try to look up the exact number.
That's
Actually, let
it's
me.
fine. It's more than I have,
It's
and probably more.
33% less.
But I guess this is kind of like in Dark Souls 1, how you get the what do they call it in Dark Souls 1? It's like a feather.
Mhm.
You get that, but it's so late in the game. In Dark Souls 1, you get a feather really late in the game that lets you travel back to your last bonfire. What's it?
Wait, the feathers Dark Souls 2.
Okay, what's the thing in Dark Souls 1? I can't remember what it was.
God, is there actually a permanent homeward
Er,
bone in Dark Souls
Well,
1?
there's a way to travel in Dark Souls 1, but you don't get it till nearly the end of the game. And I really wish I would have gotten that sooner in that game. Like, because you get a traveling method, but it feels like it's so far into the game that I got my traveling method. And I kind of like with this, like if I don't get it till 1200 red orbs, I might as well not have it at all.
I stand corrected. Dreamgate is 900 essence to unlock.
Wow. So half.
It's only 900.
Gotcha. Only 900. I think I have like 300.
Almost
there. But yeah, so that makes it nicer. At least as far as navigating around the map and such once you unlock it.
So I guess the last kind of big element of this game is the boss fights. And I've liked most of them. There was one in particular that really irritated me. Yeah, any standouts? I mean, Kudra, you've played a lot of them. Who are your standout bosses?
I guess it kind of depends on what way they stand out, because I could, if we're talking in terms of difficulty, I mean the top 3 hardest fights for me, because would be Absolute Radiance, Nightmare King Grim, and the Pure Vessel.
Pure Vessel. Wait, the Pure. Oh, Infected Vessel is the one I fought. Never mind.
The Broken Vessel.
Broken Vessel. Yes.
Yeah. So Absolute Radiance and the Pure Vessel, you're not those are actually in the Godmaster DLC.
Oh, okay.
So you'll fight them in Godhome as part of the Pantheons. Those are 2 very difficult fights, and then Nightmare King Grim is the final boss of the Troop Master DLC.
Oh, okay.
Who was also a very difficult boss. So, but I mean, as far as ones that I find the most fun to fight, I actually do like the Broken Vessel fight, just because it's almost like a mirror match.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broken Vessel's using so many of the abilities that you are, and then, I mean, it's same with his Lost Kin variant, just that it's the Dream variants are always a little bit faster and their moves are a little bit stronger.
Yeah. I liked most of the bosses. There were some that I felt like there was too much RNG, just like the what's it called, the Brooding Malik, and it covers. I felt like it just covered the whole fucking map, and it was like, okay, get out of this, and I felt like it was so hard to dodge through that.
Yes, so the way you typically would dodge that, as soon as you see him do the attack that covers the side of the screen, you're generally just gonna jump over the Malik or dash over the Malik and then get to the other side. One thing that can also make it easier, though, is Poe going off of the top of the Malik, because that helps you.
That's kind of tough too. Then you miss and get hit, and then you probably get hit again. He's just like, well, fuck you, and then he throws some more orange spew onto you. But yeah, that the Pale Lurker, who you don't have to hit too much, but the guy who just disappears and runs away from you whenever you get too close, fuck that boss. Did not like.
Oh, he's annoying.
Yeah, he just it's like, oh, you're too close to me. I'm just gonna run away and drop spikes behind me. The way I actually beat him was if you stand near one of the corners, he'll do a jump thing where he jumps back to you every 5 seconds and you can hit him once. But before that, I was just endlessly chasing him. And the only way to hit him, it seemed was to do a dash and strike him. But if you messed up at all, you were going to just hit yourself and then take damage. I did not enjoy that fight. And the other one I really hated was Nosk.
Yep.
So he was cool. And I'm like, this is a cool fight. But then, and I've been unclear on if this is actually... if it's something that's automatic every time or if this was just unlucky for me. He must have got below a certain HP and he just infinitely did the ceiling thing where he goes on the ceiling and you can't hit him, and he just drops the fucking damaging shit all over the map, and then he drops down for like just a second, and you go towards him, he jumps back up on the ceiling and does it again. And I was like, I was doing really good with my dodging, and I did this for at least 5 minutes, and he just never came back down. And I looked online. I'm like, what? How do you beat this guy? And I saw multiple posts. I saw one say, oh, that's really unlucky. You need to restart your game. And then he probably won't do it the next time. I saw another one that said, oh, he does this when he gets below a certain HP. So I'm not actually clear on if that's something he does as a character or as a boss, or if this is some kind of glitch I was running into. Because I could not figure out what to do, because he literally was just on the ceiling dropping damage, and I just had to work at dodging it the whole time. And there was pretty much like no opportunity to hit him, because he would come down and immediately go back up and then just drop more damaging stuff. Are you familiar with that at all, Kudrow?
Yeah, I know what attack you're talking about, and I think he may get a little bit more spammy with it in the second half, and like his the second half of his
5 minutes. I was like, God damn it.
No, I hear you, because I think I had a similar experience like the first time I fought Nos, but now again, like the big thing is like, being able to, because he's gonna drop down more or less. I think he drops down more or less on top of you, or does he just drop down in a random spot? I don't remember.
He drops on on top of the last place he drops damage. But then for me, he just immediately would go back up. And I swear I was efficiently dodging for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like I was so mad. I'm like, I was like, oh yeah, I figured this guy out. I'm going to beat him. And then he just did that. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, you might have just gotten some really bad RNG. Because like I don't remember it, but I mean, part of it too you might have also had a bad experience, because you might have been underpowered for that fight. Like I
think I was underpowered for the fight, and that's why I was so happy that I was winning. And then I felt like he just cheaped me. Like he's like, well, what if you couldn't hit me at all? But yeah, so I quit playing for a while after that. I was like, fuck this, and I left and I played again the next day.
Well, the good news is, I mean, he's an optional boss, so
I know, but I was gonna win. I was winning, and then he just cheated. Yeah. So, but I guess overall, though, I really like the game. I'm gonna keep playing it and finish it. It's almost made me interested in maybe going back to some old Metroidvania games. Like I'm thinking I might try out playing some original Metroid, see if I can bear that. But I really do like Hollow Knight. Like, I don't know if the art and aesthetic of it kind of carried me through. So I'm going to keep playing it, and I'm going to keep being mad about the Metroidvania aspects where I have to keep platforming back and forth. But I really would recommend Hollow Knight as a game to play. I think it's on sale on the Steam Summer Sale for like $7 or $8. Or it's on Game Pass. That's where I'm playing it, on Game Pass. 100% would recommend playing this game. Even if you don't love Metroidvanias, I think it's still worth a try, because I have a lot of problems with Metroidvanias. But I'm going to keep playing this one. And I think I would give it, an A. I really went back and forth with this. Like, I think the Metroidvania aspects that I dislike drag it down to an A. I think it's better than like a B+, because I think it's really good. I just think some of those Metroidvania things bother me. The RNG shit with Nosk really frustrated me. But yeah, I'm at an A with Hollow Knight, and I think it's an amazing game. Is the best Metroidvania I've played. Not that I've played a ton of them.
I guess I'll give my quick rating. I don't think I've played as nearly as much as you and Kudrow have, but
yeah. What was your overall experience?
Overall, I would give it probably a B+, just because I think it's not really the game for me. I probably will keep playing it, same as you. I just don't get as much enjoyment out of having to platform as much as it makes you. Right. And I think that's really what makes me not want to play it. So
I
unfortunately,
liked I liked the platforming challenges like when I did them like one time through. I don't like when I have to tread back through them over again for like or I could do a thing where it was like you're trying for a certain time through a platforming thing, but when I'm just mindlessly platforming back through this treacherous area, you know. Yeah, so we're both going to keep playing, and as always on this show we are, a current day ratings show. So if I play a lot more Hollow Knight and I think it's better or worse, then I will come on and tell you that and change my rating. But yeah, sorry, do you have more to say, Quinn?
No, just more about the platforming. I think
Yeah, go ahead.
it's. Oh, the other thing was the enemies, because the enemies respawn. So, like you said, I'll platform it through once, and I'll come back, and I'll just get hit from the side. I'm like, what the hell is that? And it's like, oh yeah, the enemies respawn. So
right, yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
Usually, when you rest at a bench, they respawn, just like the bonfire mechanic.
Yep. No, but I wouldn't not try the game though. I would definitely give it a try because it, like we had said, the art style, the mechanics, all of these really, really good things about the game really make it worth it, I think. And who knows, you might have a good time with it. So definitely give it a try.
Yeah. All right. Give Hollow Knight a try. So next we're going to move into our Stranger Things season. Well, I guess we're going to discuss the whole series. And there's going to be a ton of spoilers ahead for the series up through what's released now, up through season 4, part 1. And we're doing this in preparation for season 4, part 2, which comes out tomorrow on Netflix. So we'll kind of go through this season by season, talk about each one, interesting things from the season. If you have any interesting moments while we're talking about the seasons in the chat, go ahead, tell us the interesting moment. We'll have a discussion about that. I guess we'll start right in with season 1. So season 1, I'm just going to give a refresher of each season, just to kind of remind you the events that happened. So season 1, a gate is open to the Upside Down at Hawkins Laboratory, and later we find out this gate was opened by Eleven. A Demogorgon is wandering around, causing trouble and killing things. Will gets trapped in the Upside Down, and multiple characters have run-ins with the Demogorgon. Nancy and Jonathan find a gate through a tree. Joyce realizes Will is in some kind of alternate dimension. There's a showdown at the school where Eleven shows her true powers and disposes of all the government soldiers that are attacking the group of children. And then at the same time, Joyce and Hopper rescue Will from the Upside Down. But at the end of the season, we find out Will is still infected in some way. So, Stranger Things season 1. This was wildly popular when it came out, and it was a phenomenon. So what kind of interesting things do you guys see in season 1 now, watching season 4? What do you guys see there? What are your favorite parts of season 1?
I definitely think it was a good start. Like, it gave a good baseline of kind of the Upside Down, which is like the alternate reality or alternate dimension.
Yeah.
While not spoiling anything that we see happening in the next seasons, we'll say.
I guess I also, to mention, I feel like season 1 and season 2 are kind of like a single package.
Yes. So I'd say season 1's like part 1, and then season 2 is like part 2, and then because they're almost kind of the same.
Right.
Story.
Season 2 is a continuation of the story.
Right. It's like a piggyback. So
see, that's kind of funny because I almost feel like you could watch season 1 in isolation, and then it's like 2 and 3 that are kind of packaged together.
Well, if you cut out the scene at the end where you see Will is still infected, I think season 1. But I don't know. I feel like season 1 leaves a lot open.
I mean, other than kind of like the infection, like, because, he's got that flashback scene where he's still in the Upside Down, and then, like, he throws up
the slug thing, the little
D'Artagnan.
D'Artagnan, is that what it's called?
Well, no. Well, obviously it's like one of the Demodogs.
Oh, D'Artagnan. Oh, Dart. Right, I'm with you.
Dart.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess kind of on a rewatch, one of the biggest things that surprised me initially was you see the Demogorgon in episode 2. Like, you see its head in episode 2, and I did not remember seeing it so early in the show. And then, like, episode 3, you get to see the Demogorgon through the wall. Like, I did not remember seeing like the Demogorgon that early in the show. So that was on rewatch. I was like, oh, I think it just like went over my head the first time because I wasn't like familiar with the rest of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite part of one of my favorite things about season one as a whole is because everything's still so new, you don't really know or understand anything about the Upside Down.
Right.
So it's like you're kind of indulging in the mystery aspect of it and watching all these other characters trying to figure out and get and really understand that, kind of undergoing through their own separate character arcs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably my favorite part of it by
Yeah.
far, because like every season afterwards is like, okay, we already know it's the Upside Down, but what's the Upside Down doing now?
See, I feel like on rewatch though, I feel like season 3 really had a lot of mystery in it when it was building up. Like I remember my thoughts like looking back on it, I didn't think that, but on rewatch, like I'm watching season 3, I'm like, I was completely wrong about this. Like it totally has like a mystery line kind of building up. Especially with season 4, watching season 4 part 1 and then watching 3 again, like I really feel like a lot of that stuff has more gravity to it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess another note is Will speaks through the lights in episode 3 of season 1. So like a lot of the stuff you see in the show, they really carry it through very well. Like remembering the Demogorgon as early as episode 2, and then also the whole speaking through the lights thing as early as episode 3 of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
They really had a lot of it kind of planned out very well. And then did you know that Eleven sees a Russian speaking like soldier when she's in the tank, the water tank?
Yeah, didn't Brenner like tell her to spy on him?
Right, which totally had no meaning. I mean, until I'd seen season 3. To me, anyways, I didn't like zone in on that, but when I was rewatching, I'm like, holy shit, look at that.
Yeah, they did a very good job of that.
Mm-hmm. Kind of foreshadowing what's to come.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, I really thought season 1 was great. I thought season 1 was great at the time, though. It was season 2 and 3 that I wasn't as sure on until I rewatched, and I realized I was completely wrong.
Yeah, I think season 1 did a very good job of kind of closing everything out within the episode, but then also, leaving you wanting more and what's going to happen. And I think that's the case for, all the different seasons. And so I think that's kind of a hallmark of a very successful show, right? You can still keep people wanting to come back and continue the overarching story, not just the season story, right? So
yeah,
definitely really, really well done.
Any other interesting notes on season 1?
Yeah, I mean, other than maybe just like some questions, because I still wonder how on earth Will survive in the Upside Down without food or water and dodging this trying to avoid the Demogorgon this entire time. That's like the one thing that just really made me go, wait a minute.
But okay, so when Will was in the Upside Down, when they got him out, didn't he? He had like a demon, a tentacle thing attached to him, right?
Yeah, so like he definitely got caught towards the end. But still.
Do we know when he got caught? Could we say the tentacle creature was feeding him?
Well, he was definitely caught pretty late, I think, though. I couldn't. God, let's say, because I remember one of the episodes, I think it ended with a cliffhanger, right? Where Will was sitting in the fort fires in the Upside Down, and then the Demogorgon found him because you just see the walls around that collapse.
Yeah. Is there water in the Upside Down? I mean, I guess they go through a lake in season 4 and then it's just dried out ground.
Yeah, see, because it's never really shows water that I think. Well, did Vecna's realm have water in it?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Is it Vecna's realm or is it the Mind Flayer's realm?
Well, that's a question that I'm hoping the next two episodes
we'll get to that.
Season 4 will answer.
We're too early for that one.
I was gonna say before we move on, could have been a parasitical relationship where Will was essentially being kept alive by some sort of, I don't know, whether it's the Mind Flayer or Vecna or whatever.
Well, yeah, I think Kudra's point is though, like without food and water, how did he survive for that long? But I don't know. Open question.
It's just like the one thing that I was just kind of thinking about over the sense. The season takes place over about a week,
Yeah.
and he's over there that entire time. It's like, but yeah.
I feel like I kind of feel like season 1 is kind of like it's great, but it's more like clean and cut with like the stories. Because then when you get into season 2, I feel like you get a lot more complications with like the ideas happening and the events happening. There's more simultaneous things going on. So I guess we can go into season 2 here. So season 2, Will sees visions of the Mind Flayer, and then he gets infected by the Mind Flayer. Hopper finds that crops are being rotted by a mysterious poison, and then Hopper goes and finds a way into the Mind Flayer's underground tunnels, and Will's possessed by the Mind Flayer, and he's able to draw maps of the tunnel because he's one with the Mind Flayer. Then you find out that the Demogorgons kind of like have a home in the tunnels, and there's a whole like pack of Demogorgons. And then eventually at the end, 11, along with the help of Hopper, closes the gate, which is inside the lab, and then that kills all the Demogorgons. And that's season 2. So, season 2 thoughts.
I didn't have the chance. Go ahead,
Quinn.
I was just gonna say I didn't really have a chance to rewatch it all like you guys did, but
Sure.
Season 2 was definitely one of the least memorable seasons. I thought maybe it's because it's not the first one, and it's also not the most recent one I watched, so
right,
that may be the reason. But like I said before, I think season 1 and season 2 are kind of packaged, how we were saying, and it kind of closes out for me a really good storyline with the Mind Flayer, which is obviously reappears in season 3. So,
gotcha. Kudra, you?
I kind of have to agree with Quinn. Like after rewatching season 2, I actually, because the first watch I think I rated this a little bit higher. Now season 2, I'm kind of like I feel like this is actually the weakest season.
Okay, honestly. I might agree with you. It's the weakest season, but I feel like it's still good, I guess.
Yeah. Like Stranger Things at its lowest is still good,
right?
Because I mean, I feel like there are a couple story arcs that, well, like the whole like with the Outsiders and like episode what was it?
Episode 6. Yeah, let's talk about episode 6. Is that a filler episode?
Well, to be fair, like it does have. I guess it has the minimal impact of the plot.
But
because like when 11's closing the gate, like Kali's words are echoing in her head. But I'm also just kind of like, was this whole thing like really necessary? I feel like there was more here that could have been explored, because especially with Kali too, because it points to the existence of like other powers beyond what we see with like 11, with like her telekinetic abilities.
The only interesting thing about that, looking back from season 4, is that Kali's power was to create illusions, right?
Yeah,
and Vecna can also create illusions.
Yeah, I thought about that because
but at the time that was not interesting. And I really did not. I think that episode when it came out was like a big like downer for me. I'm like, what is this? I don't like this. I liked season 2 more on the rewatch. But I still didn't love that episode. I didn't really, nothing about it. Like it kind of felt disconnected in a way. And it like outside of the connections it has to the plot, and that this character was also at the place 11 was as a child, it felt like a filler episode, which is weird in a show that has 10 episodes or 9 episodes.
Yeah. I remember watching that and kind of being like, what the heck is this for? But
yeah,
there was a lot of arguments. Oh, we need to develop 11 as a character and give her own kind of arc. I don't really agree with that, but
yeah,
I can kind of see where they're coming from, because I mean, Elle, outside of her relationship with Mike, I feel like for the first, especially like in the first season, like she doesn't really get that much to do outside of outside again of her relationship with Mike.
Yeah.
Season two falls. Well, no, season two doesn't fall in that boat. Season three almost starts to fall back into that boat, though.
Yeah.
Could be more of like a humanization of her, since she really was kind of more of a mystery. Like she couldn't really talk, like all of those aspects of her being, kept away and stuff like that. So she really didn't have much depth, I guess.
Yeah.
She was more of like a weapon or a mystery sort of thing. And this gave her kind of some sort of humanity where she's interacting with, other people who don't know what she can do, essentially, right?
So, what? Yeah. While you've touched on that, that is actually one thing I will highlight that I did love about the show, especially on a rewatch, was like, when 11 is introduced, like you see her being very quiet. She has some limited. It seems like she has like a limited vocabulary and an ability to express herself. Like you see a lot of times where like she just can't handle conflict or yelling because like it just triggers like flashbacks. Like I feel like they really like I feel like they did a pretty decent job of showing like someone who's been like locked away in isolation in that facility, like the stunt what would be like stunted emotional maturity, stunted vocabulary, like all these negative impacts that it would have on a child's development.
Yeah,
and her progression's interesting. The trauma that resulted of that, I actually thought was surprisingly well done.
Yeah, I like her progression, and I like her progression with Hopper too. Like that's all done pretty well. Another interesting character in season 2, Murray, the Russian obsessed guy. He's onto the whole thing at the beginning of season 2. And I feel like I didn't take him in very much on initial watch of season 2, most of 3, but I feel like I really like him. He's one of my favorite characters in season 2 and season 3. And then if you want to get into him in season 4, where he's like, I'm a black belt in karate. And I feel like the ultimate thing is where he just actually is really good at fighting people, because it would have been bad if he was really good at fighting people just for no reason. Like, oh, he's just going to fight all these soldiers and kick the shit out of them. But the fact that it's like, I'm a black belt in karate, and usually the joke is they say that and then they're not. But the funny thing is he actually is, and he kicks the shit out of him. And I loved that whole thing, the buildup of his character through the 3 seasons. I love that he's onto it at the beginning of season 2, and then you go to his compound and it's just this fucking wild place and he always just drinks vodka and has everybody drink vodka. But yeah, Murray, a character that I don't think I really picked up on when I first watched season 2 or season 3. Definitely in season 4 I liked him, but I feel like I really like that character on rewatch. Do you guys like Murray?
Oh, I love Murray. Well, top 3 characters for sure.
Yeah.
I think he definitely brings another dynamic to the story that's really enjoyable. Just kind of like this crazy guy, but somehow you still trust him for whatever reason.
Is it ever defined how he makes money? Like, he doesn't work. Well, I guess nobody works past like season 3. So
it was mentioned because the reason why he was introduced in the story is because Barb's parents hired him to investigate her disappearance, because he's an investigative reporter, freelance detective.
Oh, right.
That was why Nancy and Jonathan went to him in the first place to try to confess to him what happened to Nancy, as well as like how to really get the public to be able to digest this.
That's another good storyline. The whole Barb's death thing, where Nancy is like there when Barb is killed, and then you go into season 2 where Nancy has all this, like, she knows what happened, but she can't tell Barb's parents. And then you get up to season 4 where it seems like that guilt might come back as one of Vecna's tools. That's a really cool season crossing storyline as well.
I was gonna say one point I want to touch on is who dies in each season. So like in the first season, the character that died, or like the the biggest
Yeah.
character that dies is Barb, right? And
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't know if you remember when that happened, like when people found out that happening, there was social media outcry, like justice for Barb, because
Oh,
there's this
forgot
really
about
nice
that.
character that
Yeah.
they just killed off so
No.
quickly for what everybody thought was no reason.
Yeah.
And then the second season was, and I'm blanking on his name, Joyce's friend.
Oh, Sean Astin, Bob.
Bob Newby.
Bob, yeah.
Bob Newby. Bob the Brain.
Right, and who everybody, like, nobody really liked in the beginning. Like, the kids didn't really like him, and then they start warming up to him, and then he, like, saves the day, and then he dies.
Dude, Bob is such a trope. Like, Bob is, like, the ultimate, like, oh, he's a nerd, so he's not tough and can't do anything tough. And then, oh, man, it's like, oh, Bob has the skills to open the door, but, you know, he's kind of a nerd, so can he go through and deal with all the physical things? And then, of course, he achieves it, and then he gets killed. It's, you know, it's just, but he's so tropey, I feel like, though everyone treats him, nobody tells him shit for like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pattern of whoever, I think it's the Duffer Brothers, right, who wrote it or directed it, of creating these characters that the audience really likes, and then they kill them off.
Right.
The same thing happens in season 3, right, with Alexei, the Sun Rushing dude.
Yeah.
So I just want to get that out there because that's something I want to kind of discuss after we go through this. So
yeah. But I think of those 3, Bob's was the one that hit me the most. I actually really like Bob. He was a fun character.
Yeah, I distinctly remember after all 3 deaths of there being like some sort of social media discussions about it, which is whether it's memes or like just stuff like that. So it's definitely impactful.
One other thing about this season, Kudra, we were talking about mystery earlier. I felt like there was still a lot of mystery in this, with like Will being infected and them not completely understanding it, and then the poison fields and finding the underground thing. I guess I thought that kind of, even on rewatch, like I was like, oh, there's a lot of like mystery still going on here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
No, I mean, that's fair. As I said, like, I feel like my big thing is just like with season 1, because we didn't really understand like what the Upside Down was, or for that matter, there was even like this other dimension that existed, and characters are, they're really trying to piece together what's happening.
Uh-huh.
Whereas it still kind of feels like in season 2, it's like, because we know of the existence of the Upside Down.
Yeah.
It always seems to me as like, okay, we know this is probably has to do with the Upside Down still, but what exactly is it doing or trying to do?
Yeah.
And I guess that's just kind of where I'm coming from, because I agree with you. It's still a mystery trying to figure out exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's also like we know it's the Upside Down. We know this.
Yeah. All right. Well, on to season 3. So, season 3. Everyone starts out as supposedly normal after the events of the previous seasons. However, it's not, as the Mind Flayer from season 2 still exists and is turning people into its host. Multiple parties of characters converge upon the realization of the Mind Flayer returning, and the Russians are running an operation under the mall. The Mind Flayer reaches a critical mass after it infects enough people, gets enough, goo, and then it leaves its nest to hunt 11. Then the whole group converges to the mall, where one crew is trying to escape from the Mind Flayer, and the other is trying to work to foil the Russians' plans to open the gate. Season 3, which season 3, in my memory, I was like, I don't think I like that season. On rewatch, season 3 is great.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Season 3 is good. Yeah, I think they used the mall very well. I thought it gave a new dynamic to the story. It kind of, because of how like where the show is set. I mean, you can only use all these different places so many times. Mike's basement.
Yeah.
The video store, the arcade, the school. Like you can only use those so many times. The mall kind of gave it a nice, refreshing change because it was kind of summer, and to me, it was a really great setting for kind of that final battle. So,
yeah. Interesting things about this season. So what is up with them eating fertilizer and chemicals? So you have that Nancy and Jonathan like find the old lady eating fertilizer, and then further on you find out that the people that are hosts are eating chemicals and fertilizer, and never really understood why they were doing that, or if that was ever like mentioned. Did we ever figure out why they were eating all the chemicals?
I can't say this for certain, but I assume it has something to do with the fact of because like those stuff would probably be like toxic to people, so maybe it allows the mind flayer. That's what allows the mind flayer to like break down their flesh to absorb it into itself.
Okay. That's a theory, I guess. I don't know. I figured it's just what demons do. But yeah. So open question. I still don't know why they eat the fertilizer and chemicals.
I'm not sure.
Let's talk about when Hopper and Joyce run into the Indiana Terminator. What a character. They just put the Terminator right in there. They're like, what if we put the Terminator into Stranger Things? And then they did. Yeah, so anyways, further into the season, when they go into the underground base of the Russians, can you imagine the construction undertaking and construction costs for building that underground base? It's literally impossible. There's just you can't do it.
They did it somehow.
No. But the giant
in the middle of a Cold War.
I feel like my big question with the construction of that base was how I know like the mayor is in on the cover up. So I mean I get that, but it's like the construction of like digging that massive hole and then just sitting here trying to construct all that. Like the fact that no one notices that kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's a whole wild thing that they're able to build that base. Yeah,
but then the kids spoil it, so you gotta rely on those kids.
Right.
Nobody else cares.
Well, let's be fair. Hopper foils it. Okay.
Yeah, but Steve and what's his
the children
Robin,
go in there.
Dustin and Erica.
Dustin, yeah.
The children go in there and dick around, and then Hopper comes in to really finish the job.
Yep, Steve. I'll say him, Hopper, Murray, and Joyce.
Yeah, another great kind of scene from this season is the hospital scene where they get chased around, Nancy and Jonathan, by the their host of news reporter bosses.
Yep.
That whole scenario is awesome. That's like a great like horror kind of fight scene and chase scene. I thought that was done flawlessly.
I don't remember that too well, but it rings a bell. I think there's lots of those types of scenes. I feel like they did pretty well.
Yeah, and then further into season 3, I feel like you get into this cool thing where you have multiple stories converging together. You have Hopper and Joyce where they figure out. Well, Joyce figures out the whole magnets thing. She's like, "There's something going on," and then Hopper, with his main character energy, starts to get to the bottom of it. And he like goes and solves problems. He runs into the Indiana Terminator, as we talked about. And then he's just out trying to solve problems, Then you got Dustin, Steve, and Robin. They find the Russian radio transmission and they figure out that the Russians are in the mall. And then 11 and Max figure out something's wrong with Billy and they're trying to look into that. And then Nancy and Jonathan are figuring out something weird's going on with the rats and then the old lady. And then you kind of have all of these things converge to where they all get together at the mall and then they do battle with the Mind Flayer, which how much is the Mind Flayer is a group raid boss. Like you just have them all like throwing rockets for fireworks from each side. It's just it's a group battle. I've played that boss before.
Yeah. Did you win?
Yeah.
No, it's definitely something and looks like they're continuing to use, right, with season 4 where they kind of have the 3,
right,
at least what we know, the 3 different storylines, maybe 4 once 11 splits off, but it's definitely an effective way of telling a story and making people want to stick around and find out what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that final battle was definitely a great culmination for the end of the season.
Yeah,
with some sadness.
I really, with Billy getting killed. I guess we skipped over Billy getting killed. So Billy was a good character for like 10 seconds there before he was killed because he saved 11 from the Mind Flayer. But Billy was like on rewatch, Billy was a terrible character through the whole time until those last 10 seconds. He's a regular old Vegeta.
Yeah, I mean he was a pretty big dick throughout the entire show prior to even being infected. So
also, is Billy a racist? Is that what they were alluding to? Because he every time he saw Max talking to Sinclair Lucas, he was like, you can't talk. There's some people you can't talk to. And I was like, what? Like, is it just any people, or like I didn't know if they were trying to allude to that or what, but that was weird.
It's kind of what it seemed like.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if I saw anything for sure, but that's what it seemed like. Especially when, like, in season 2, I believe it was, like, when he went over to the house, like the buyer's house, and found Max there. Like the very first person he comes after was Lucas. Grabbing him.
Oh,
and
right,
like
right,
that.
That's true.
And then he beat the crap out of Steve because, as Dustin hilariously lampshades in season 3, Steve almost never wins a fight.
Right. So, yeah, his character is just so terrible the whole time. But then I guess last note I have on season 3 was the news segment that like they do partial credits and then they go to the like news, the 1980s style news segment from the news channel, and it's in like standard def with grainy footage. And also they foreshadow the satanic panic in that news segment, which leads into a bunch of the stuff in season 4. I loved that news segment thing they do after the credits.
Yeah, that was good. I was gonna say the last thing, I don't remember if you noted it, but Hopper seemingly dies.
Oh, at the end of season 3, yeah.
When they're closing the portal, right? Or shutting it down. Joyce has to turn both the keys by herself to shut it down, and Hopper seemingly gets disintegrated from the blast that happens.
Which he would have been disintegrated. They just decided he shouldn't die.
Right. Which do we find out that he's
still
alive at the end, right?
Yeah, they take you to a scene in Russia and they show the scene of them opening a door and then a Demogorgon comes out and then something happens, but they say no, not the American or something, alluding to that Hopper's there. But that's it. Yeah. So we can move into season 4. Quinn, do you want to do our season 4 description here?
Yeah, I can do it. Like I said before, there's like kind of 3 different storylines, so I figured we could break it down since this is kind of the most fresh in our minds with what's kind of going on, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the first storyline, or I guess the base for all 3 storylines, it's 9 months later, even though it doesn't look like it's been 9 months later thanks to the pandemic. They're starting high school now. So the friend group has kind of split up after season 3. Max kind of drifted away after Billy died, dealing with her own internal trauma and issues. And 11, Will, Jonathan, and Joyce have all fled, essentially. They just decided Hopper's gone, that they just kind of need a new start. So they move out to California to some, what I'm assuming is a suburb of Los Angeles, somewhere out there. I don't really know what kind of the moving patterns back then, but that's my assumption. So they're out there kind of doing their own thing. They're still in contact with Mike, obviously, because 11 and Mike are still dating. And before stuff starts hitting the fan, Mike and Jonathan are supposed to go out. Or not Mike and Jonathan. Mike's supposed to go out west to California to visit 11 and Will for spring break. And then Jonathan's supposed to come back east to visit Nancy because they're still an item, even though we've been getting hints that they're kind of on the rocks. currently. So this is kind of when we're introduced to Vecna. He takes control of a cheerleader, or not takes control, but gives her visions and stuff like that, and ends up killing her inside of Eddie's trailer. We find out Eddie is the leader of the Dungeons and Dragons club at the high school, who seems to flunk out every year and hasn't graduated for some unknown reason for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years he was supposed to graduate. And so he's kind of there. And so that becomes, there's a manhunt essentially for Eddie, who the cops think killed. Sorry, I just blanked on her name.
Yeah, so the cops, the Christy,
yes,
yeah, the cops think he's a suspect, and then the town thinks he's the definite killer.
Right. So the basketball team's coming after him because the main
Christy,
basketball guy, the captain, I should say, is
Christy's boyfriend.
Yeah. So they got some vigilante justice coming their way, and so that's when the rest of the group comes in, because Dustin and Mike are friends with Eddie, and they have some experience with this new, or not the old Upside Down. So they're kind of trying to figure out everything that's going on, and they realize what's going on. So they know that Eddie didn't do it. So they're trying to protect him and figure out how they can basically take care of this new Upside Down problem. So it keeps happening. Vecna, they find out, or they believe, is the one doing all this, and they come across Victor Creel is his name, who back in the day, I think in the 50s, was convicted for killing his family in the same way that these teens are being killed. So they realize there's some sort of connection there. So I'm getting lost. I feel like there's so much that's happening.
Yeah. So then Nancy and what's that? The Robin. Yeah, they are going to research and try and figure out what happened, and eventually they end up talking to this guy. He's in jail for killing his family, and what they eventually figure out is that he's the father of his son is the one who killed the whole family. It wasn't actually him. And then you figure out that his son had these powers, and then the doctor, what's the doctor's name? The one who has 11?
Brenner.
Anyways, Brenner. Yeah. Brenner takes him, covers up the whole thing, and he's number one, essentially. And then what you find out is that he's the number one. He had a huge battle with 11, where 11 sent him to the Shadow Realm, sent him to the Upside Down, and he became Vecna. And I guess this season 4 part 1 was amazing. This is what inspired me to rewatch the whole series before. It's so good. I love the Vecna. I love the possession things he does. I just really love all the interactions. You get into the panic of the whole town. It kind of focuses on the satanic panic stuff that they alluded to at the end of season 3, where you have, which satanic panic was a very real thing that happened. Like there was a whole. So go ahead, Kudra.
I was gonna say, to some extent, it's still a real thing. I still hear satanic. I still hear D&D associated with Satanism now and then.
Well,
it's nuts.
Yeah. So, I guess to me, like, it's probably been my favorite so far, the season 4 part 1. Like, I love the way they have Vecna, and as a villain, he's better than the other ones. He speaks. And like, I feel like he's a better villain than the previous ones in a way. You don't have the unknowns anymore so much. So you almost need to kind of amp up the villain a little bit. Maybe it's like he's just coming for you no matter what. Like he's just coming for you. He'll find you. And then you get the clocks. Yeah. Did you guys like this season?
Yeah, definitely. And some things I saw is they even apparently in season 1 they had the clocks as well show up.
Oh, in 1? So
yeah, in season 1.
I had noted that when Billy gets possessed, you hear the clocks. Like when he's in the scene where he's walking out as a lifeguard and he's all messed up, you can hear the clocks in that scene. And that was crazy. I was like, "Oh shit. That's Vecna."
Yeah. So there's stuff like that, like that they, had continuation throughout the seasons. And like I said before, that was just one part of season 4, right? Then you have the other side quests to go get Hopper from Russia that Joyce and Murray are on, with their own issues of getting essentially tricked into flying to Russia because they drank some coffee that I don't remember what the guy's name, the comical Russian dude's name, that tricked them. So they're out there trying to do that, and then in California, the government's on the hunt for 11. So there's just so much going on, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's not overwhelming to me. Like, it's easy to follow. You don't have to have season 3 fresh on the mind, I don't think, to follow everything, and it keeps you coming back for more. Honestly, it's just very, very well done. So
it kind of feels like a new saga, like from season 3. But
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Season 4 is really good.
I think go ahead, Kudo, sorry.
I think what I appreciate the most about season 4, though, is just the fact that, like, how well they do connect everything to events that have happened in the previous season. My particular favorite being, like, we heard in season 1 how El opened the gate.
Right.
Now we actually see how and why it happened in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess you guys want to get into overall series thoughts and kind of get into general, our favorite characters of the series. Do you guys want to get into that stuff now?
Sure.
Yeah.
It looks like there's lots of chats too.
Yeah. From the chat. Yeah. Shot by Land. Midnight needs to come faster. So do they actually release at midnight? I wasn't sure on that. Do they come out at midnight or they come out at some time in the day tomorrow? Because I plan on watching them tomorrow, but if they come out at midnight, I could possibly watch one today. Also in the chat, 870 Gliz, man, I miss Billy. You don't really miss Billy, do you? It better be midnight. I hope so, but I feel like in the past when Netflix releases stuff, it's not at midnight. I thought it was like at some random time, middle of the day of the next day, but I could be wrong. I didn't look it up. I was thinking about it earlier.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Yeah. So I guess first we can go into here. Let's start off with the main character of the show. So I think Hopper's the main character of the show, guys. Upon rewatch, I can confirm Hopper's the main character. All right, we all agree.
Make a good argument. I don't agree with that, but
I still feel like trying to even argue there is a main character is mistaken.
Well, I would have said, if you had asked me before I rewatched all of them, I would have said there's no main character. Upon rewatch, I think I've decided that Hopper's my main character. Okay, season 1. Hopper is, first of all, he's just awesome. But the progress of the story you can follow with Hopper's whole trajectory through season 1. Hopper's figuring stuff out. That's when you're kind of moving the story along. Hopper's moving the whole story along in season 1. The season 1 progression revolves around Hopper. Season 2. Let me tell you something about season 2. Okay, you open up season 2, you see Hopper. He eats 2 bites of an apple, throws it away, and smokes a cigarette. That's main character energy.
You sold me.
Hold on. So you're saying like you can follow the plot solely through Hopper. So if we're talking about season 1, the entire plot where the boys are interacting with 11, and they're determining the Demogorgon, the fact that Will is hiding, the fact that the Upside Down exists, which they determine by talking with what's his name, Scott, the science teacher. Scott?
Oh yeah, I can't think of his name, but yeah, the science teacher.
Yeah, so it's like if you. It's like they're the ones figuring all this supernatural stuff out through their knowledge of D&D.
Who does the actual work though? That's Hopper. You know, Hopper's the one really getting shit done.
Is he? Because I mean, this entire time, like in season 1, where like half of it was spent like, okay, the fake body. I'm sorry, Will's dead. He fell for that at first until until he did a little bit more investigative work.
He's a reasonable person.
But then it's like, yeah,
he's the one who goes in and figures out it's like a fake body. He does. That's him.
Yeah.
Whoa, from the chat. Hot news. Duffer Brothers apparently said there are 5 confirmed deaths in Volume 2.
I don't know who they are, but one of them better not be Steve Harrington.
Well, I think the main character is 11.
Oh,
and I think that's the basic opinion, probably.
Yeah,
but
probably.
I think because of how much all the different characters change, I think that's the only reasonable choice in my opinion.
I have to concur with Quinn here. If we have to pick one, I would agree with 11.
Oh, I still think it's Hopper. Hopper's my main character, and I've already laid out for you. Let's talk about the season 3, where Hopper is the one who kind of pushes through to the actual objective of destroying the Indiana Terminator and the Russian beam that they're trying to open the Upside Down with. Hopper's the one who does all that because he's a main character. He's got main character energy. He goes and he sacrifices himself to blow that thing up.
Well, I feel like you're completely downplaying the contributions of Joyce and Murray in that entire operation.
Oh, no, they're part of his squad. They're like his sidekicks. Yeah, they're his sidekicks. You've perfectly laid this out for me. Thank you.
Okay, but
have you seen? Did you see 11 take 2 bites of an apple and smoke a cigarette after? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if it weren't for 11, the Upside Down wouldn't even be there, right? As far as we know.
Well, so we don't talk about that.
I mean, it would still be there. It's just that humans would never have known about it.
Right.
So
there wouldn't be any conflict, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Between the Upside Down and the real world. So I just go back to the fact that the Duffer Brothers do so well at changing all the different characters that you kind of just have to come back to the original plot line of who started it, what's going on, and that's 11 for me.
See, you're focused on who started it. I'm focused on who's solving it, and that's Hopper. I rest my case. Hopper's my main character. I've not been deterred.
We can agree to disagree, I guess.
All right. So next we'll go on to who's your most improved character up to this point. Kudra?
I mean, it's Steve Harrington.
Big Steve guy.
Big Steve. See, because when Steve starts off in season 1, I mean, he's a bit of a douchebag. I mean, He definitely has that reputation. You get some hints that there's a better guy deep down.
Yeah.
Because, one of the things, when he's studying with Nancy, he tries to get physical with her, but, when she says no, he respects her boundaries. But, I mean, the thing is you see him in this toxic friendship with Tommy and his girlfriend, which you can tell really reflects very badly on his behavior, causes him to behave in incredibly inappropriate ways. The way he was talking to Jonathan and such, which that was probably his biggest douchebag moment.
Yeah.
But eventually he realizes that he ditches Tommy and his girlfriend, and then you kind of see the progression of his character since then, where he starts making up for the stuff that he did. He starts becoming this big brother figure to all the boys, particularly Dustin. And yeah, so, in the beginning, because it's the beginning of Steve Harrington's character, I really didn't like him. By the end of season 2, he was my favorite character of the cast.
I gotcha. Yeah, I like the character. Yeah, any notable ones for you, Quinn?
I like Steve as well. I think he's by design, though. I think that's the point of his character. So
right, yeah.
I think he's just a good example of that. I think one that kind of stands out to me is Will. I know a lot of people
Really?
probably don't really like Will, but I
I
think
thought Will stagnated, and that's what you're.
I'm just thinking like for everything he's gone through, and
Mhm.
he's still there and still trying to make an effort to be normal. I think that's a really
Yeah.
good like
Right.
characteristic for him.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely see the criticisms in his character, but I just think for everything that he went through, and he still is there for his friends. Like he's still trying to be a part of the group and contribute. That to me that brings a lot to the table. But I think overall, I think Steve is kind of the go-to for this discussion and
Yeah, and
character type.
I can see the Steve thing, but I guess for me, like looking at it, like I liked the improvements of Erica Sinclair, Lucas's sister. I really like her character in season 3 and season 4. I really enjoy the changes to her character of like becoming more I don't know, more of like a teenager and just being a prick to everyone. I really enjoy her back talk. I like her a lot. And Dr. Owens, the one who's come back to help 11, I think like multiple times at this point. After the first season where he kind of like was first, second season where he kind of like disregarded everything and was like, no, don't worry, everything's fine. But was it the first season?
No,
Second
you're
season?
talking about Dr. Owens. That was second season because the first
Second
season really
season.
focused on
Oh,
Dr.
right.
Brenner.
Yeah, second season. Dr.
So
Owens, I feel like, was kind
yeah.
of dismissive of everything and like was just saying the company line. And then I feel like the next later on, Dr. Owens is like, he's a cool guy now. He's like helping you out.
Mm-hmm.
Something switched in his brain. He's like, oh, maybe this isn't right.
Right. Yeah.
Which
Um,
that's tough for anybody to do, right? Is to switch up like that, go against the
yeah.
grain.
Yeah. So our next one, most declined characters. Any characters that you have come to hate?
I think you had noted about Mike, and I tend to agree.
He comes off as
He's
kind of
kind of there.
annoying, but
Yeah,
he's just a teenager, I guess. It's not like he just, you can be like that when you're a teenager, I think.
right. He seems to be very know-it-all. Like he likes to try to be the leader of the group when maybe they don't
Hopper
need
is,
that at
yeah.
the point. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, though it kind of the things with Mike being annoying kind of highlights like one of the bad things about the show overall for me, which is the child drama that they do. And like episode 1 of season 4, I was like, I don't know how this season's gonna go. I did not like the first episode because I felt like it was so much like teenage drama, and I could do without that stuff. I get that they're putting it in there because it's like 80s kids and like that's the thing, but maybe they could cut it a little shorter in some cases.
Yeah. I not so sure about that too, but I think like you said it's something they have to include
Yeah,
for the story and to make sure that it kind of flows, I guess, right? So but
sure. Yeah, so I guess we can now move into kind of our unknowns and predictions for the next season. Or do you guys want to talk about overall thoughts on the series up till now first? All right, we'll go overall thoughts on the series up till now, then we'll get into our unknowns and predictions. So, upon rewatch, before I had rewatched season 2 and season 3, I was unsure if I loved them because I remembered like thinking, hey, they weren't bad, but I was kind of soured a little bit on some of season 2. But on rewatch, like, God, I think the show is amazing. Like, I really think it pulls off a lot of what it does just amazingly. And like I had said, I don't love the childhood drama that we see, the teenage drama. You get a little bit into the horror movie trope of people just doing dumb things, like when they have the baby Demogorgon and they're just like, let's keep it. Like, okay, that's obviously a demon. But I think where I sit up to this point is I debated between A plus, but I think I want to say Stranger Things for me up till now is an S. I really think it's one of the great shows in this genre and the way they do everything I really like. It might change with the upcoming stuff, but I would rate it an S right now. What do you guys think overall?
I would give it an S as well, just purely
Yeah.
off of everything that I've watched. I think each season is very refreshing and different
Mhm.
in its own different ways. And I think that for me personally, that's one thing that I struggle with different series and different universes like Marvel and Star Wars and stuff like that. I think that's a big deal for me to watch something and make sure that it's different in some way, but also still interesting. And I think they do that so well in this show, and somehow they still keep it all together, which is very, very cool. So I think season 1, lays out kind of the baseline for the entire story, and each season just keeps building off of it in a very unique way. So definitely an S for me, and could go higher depending on part 2 of season 4, and then obviously the last season 5. So
yeah. Cooter, where you at?
I don't know if I'm quite at S.
Yeah.
I'd say A for me.
Okay.
I do think there are a couple. I do think there are a couple of minor questions when it comes to like the plot. But it doesn't detract from my enjoyment from the show at all. Overall, like the series is well written. It's, and for the most part, very well executed. So
yeah,
I'm more than willing to endorse A. It's still, Stranger Things is just good. Season 2 is probably the weakest season, but even its weakest season is still really high quality. So
I gotcha. All right. Well, let's move into unknowns and predictions. So, kind of watching through things that are still unknown to me. I'll go first here. Where did the Russians get the Demogorgon? Is that any idea? How did they get a Demogorgon?
Well, if they were able to make a portal on their side, right?
Did they? Is that? I don't know.
If that's how Hopper got to Russia, right? Is there? My assumption is that Russia they were using it purely as military use, right? They were going for a portal from Russia to the U.S., and it just so happened that they were able to use Hawkins as that entry point.
Interesting.
And so
yeah, maybe
they were maybe just in the Upside Down, and were able to capture one. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, one of the things I might point out here is just like, so I think the Russian portal probably had to be open a little bit longer than what I think a lot of us might think initially, because I almost wonder if it had to be open at least in the time of season 2, because the Mind Flayer was able to infect Billy with the essence that left. Wait, or was he infecting just rats and such? Either way, though, it's like that part of that left will was still able to exist, and the only reason that the Mind Flayer is able to exist is because there's an open portal. So it seems like, with the amount of time that that the Russians had that portal open, they probably, if something came through that portal, they were probably able to capture it and then ship it to Russia.
Okay.
Or either that, just like what Quinn said, maybe they went into the portal and were able to capture it. But either way, it seems like with the amount of time that the Russians would have had access to that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wonder if we'll see anything about that.
Very possible. I still think my big question for season 4 that I want to see very soon is Vecna's relationship to the Mind Flayer.
Right. Yeah. Super interesting there. Because like when Billy's possessed, what is the voice? Is that Vecna or is that the Mind Flayer? Does Vecna speak? I was unsure on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, where Billy talks and he has like a different voice. Like to me, it almost sounds kind of like Vecna, but
like a demonic, like possession type thing, right?
Yeah.
My guess is we'll find out either the second half or in season 5.
Dustin kind of alluded to it in one conversation, because he was like, if the Demogorgon and the Demodogs are like the Mind Flayer's foot soldiers, then Vecna would be like his 5-star general.
Right.
But that's only speculation on his part, and that's not really confirmed.
Oh, Dusty said that in the show?
Yeah, Dustin said that in season
gotcha.
4.
I gotcha.
was like a conversation he was having with Erica and I think Lucas.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They were just trying to nail down what's going on. Essentially, they're just kind of brainstorming, and that's what he let out.
Right. So. Yeah. The thing I was from Brian Pilot on YouTube, I was watching his video, and he talked about his theory was like that they're working together, and like when you see those like vines attached to Vecna, that's the Mind Flayer. And then like Vecna's there, and he's using the Mind Flayer's powers, which are those roots that can travel everywhere, and that's how Vecna's able to get to the real world as opposed to the Upside Down, is through the power of the Mind Flayer. And that's the most interesting one I saw. So shout out to Brian Pilot, great video on YouTube about that.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm super interested to figure out what happens. I maybe I'll watch it tonight if it comes out at midnight. I think from the chat, we got Shot by Land. Thanks for sending us this. 2 a.m. for Central Time and 3 a.m. for Eastern Time. So I will not watch it until tomorrow. So it's actually midnight Pacific time that it comes out. Yeah. Only other unknown for me, how does the Upside Down work completely? Like, maybe some of that'll get answered too, because you have like season 1 where the phone rings, and isn't it like from the Upside Down or something where you can hear sounds through the phone that came from the Upside Down?
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Drew. No, you go ahead.
I was just, well, they kind of talked, like, they already kind of talked about that in season 1 when they were investigating it. So one of the D&D parallels that they draw to the Upside Down was the Veil of Shadows. And so, you know, basically, and Veil of Shadows, effectively what it is, it's like a twisted, distorted, like, reflection of the real world.
Okay.
And one of the things, so that's just kind of what it is. So it's like, you know, it's almost like you can think of it almost like a mirror dimension. Like, you know, this is the Upside Down's like, what's the flip side of the mirror?
Well, then you get into season 4 where they go to Nancy's house and they figure out like, oh, it's this date in 1973 or whatever that the state of the Upside Down is in. You know what I'm talking about?
So because they were talking about how because Nancy was going to grab a gun that was in the closet, but then she said it's not there because they determined that the Upside Down hasn't been keeping pace with the time in their world. It's still stuck in the time from when Will was taken over to the Upside Down.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. I think another aspect of it is the electromagnetic, like you said, with the telephone and the lights. There's obviously something electromagnetic that happens between the two.
Yeah, well, the only thing I was thinking is we see the lights come back, but I don't think we ever saw the phone thing come back.
Right.
But yeah, so just something I'm curious to see if we get any more kind of info on how the Upside Down works. It doesn't detract from me. I'm not like, oh, this is broken, but I'm curious if we get any more specifics on that.
Right.
Yeah. Do you guys want to move on to predictions?
Sure.
So one from the chat here, Shot by Land in the chat. His theory is that Vecna dies season 4 and the Mind Flayer dies season 5. Seems like a reasonable estimate.
I think so. I think I was going to say his other chat prior to that, he's confused about what season 5 setting and story is going to be.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just from some of my digging, I know that there's supposed to be a 3-year gap.
There better be. They look too old already.
Right. So there's supposed to be a 3-year gap. So there obviously is going to be some sort of closure after part 2 of season 4. How big of closure that is, I guess we'll find out.
Right. Yeah, we got 2 movies before then.
Right. So they gotta have some carryover, obviously, that takes place in 3 years. So that'll be interesting. Like we were previously talking about, how time doesn't mirror what happens
upside down. Right.
Exactly. So maybe that'll play into it. I think, like you said, Vecna dying in this season and then the Mind Flayer dying in season 5 is probably a good prediction.
Yeah, like one of the 2, yeah.
Right, and how we get there
is
going to
cost, though.
Right. Exactly. It's always the best question.
So what should we all make, like, how many, supposedly 5 people are confirmed deaths. How many deaths do you guys want to hold ourselves to here? We're all going to have to predict at least one. And we're going to come back and really hold you to the fire for it. So
I feel like the problem with saying confirmed deaths, though, I don't know how big a trolls the Duffer Brothers are, but like I remember, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Gravity Falls, but the creator of that show, Alex Hirsch, he was like, the 2-part finale was like, oh, someone's gonna die. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out to just be an old man of natural causes.
Right, yeah, it's a 5 confirmed deaths. Like you got a few Russian soldiers that get killed.
Yeah, like that could literally just be it. Like like a few nobodies in the Russian prison.
But I don't know. This is like I think this is like, maybe this is their Empire Strikes Back. This is our sad ending. Like they're gonna kill off a few people and have like the sad ending, and then we get Quinn doesn't.
No,
think so.
It was sad when Alexi died. That's the saddest it gets. So
I got you. You don't think they're gonna kill Max or kill?
I think they're gonna kill Eddie.
Oh, you think Eddie?
I think Eddie's gonna die because
yeah.
Just from everything that's been happening with his character, he's very. I'm not doing anything. I'm just hiding, and then
so he's gonna do it. Is this gonna be another sacrificial thing?
I think so. I think he's gonna muster up the courage and do what he knows has to be done, and he's gonna end up dying.
I think you're probably right, but I don't know. Let me take a different one. I think I'm gonna go with Max.
Max, I think that's definitely reasonable.
Ooh, from the chat, someone said that 8 is going to come back, but I do not support that. I was also wondering if they're going to bring 8 back. Maybe 8 gets killed.
I feel like the only reason she would come back is just to be killed.
Right.
To be blunt. I don't know. I feel like if they were going to kill Max, they'd have done it when she was about to die anyway, when she was in Vecna's realm.
Hey, you gotta go out on a limb. you gotta take a risk if you want to get it right. Are you gonna go with the Eddie answer, or are you gonna be bold and make a bold choice?
No, I mean, I feel like Eddie is the sure choice. I'd agree, just because like it seems like they kill one character a season.
Right. They bring the character in just to kill him. They're like, ah.
Right. Everybody likes Eddie. I feel like a lot of people like Eddie. Like he's like kind of off the wall, like unique, and he fits the profile.
From chat, Nancy. They better not kill Nancy.
I'd be very surprised.
They can't kill Nancy. I'm a big fan of the Nancy, Jonathan, all the older ones. It's really the children I don't like.
Imagine that.
I just can't see them killing any of the main characters. I don't think they'll do it. I really don't.
But if you gotta pick one, that's why I'm going Max. Max is gonna die.
I think Steve has a high chance of dying, not gonna lie.
My Netflix subscription would be canceled immediately.
He's gonna tweet out, "You guys killed Steve. I'm not subscribing again."
My only reasoning is because this love for Nancy is coming out, and I feel like there's a really good opportunity for Steve to make some sacrificial last gasp at love sort of thing, where he's like, I gotta save Nancy and I gotta get killed to do it or something like that. Like I can just see that happening, and I think that wouldn't go bad with what's happening in the story, but we'll see.
Run It Up Tay 700 in chat is trying to argue that the characters die in alphabetical order. So we have Alexi, Barb, Bob, Billy, and then Chrissy. And he's suggesting Dustin might be next. So Run It Up Tay 700 has thrown Dustin into the ring for himself.
So it'd be Dustin and then Eddie, right? Because the E.
Oh, Dustin and Eddie. Oh man.
Oh wow.
I guess how far? I
could deal with that. All right, I'm gonna stick on my Max. Max will be my bet. You're on Eddie, Quinn.
I like Eddie. Yeah.
Kudrow, what's your?
I'm almost certain Eddie's gone.
Wow, you guys just taking the easy one.
I can't. As I said, I really don't think they're killing off 5 people may die. Eddie's going to be the only main character.
All right.
I don't think they're going to kill off a member
right.
of like the main cast.
All right. You guys take Eddie. I'll take the field. Oh, man. All right. Well, I am very excited to see this part 2, season 4. So we'll definitely be watching it over the next week. And that's pretty much all we got for today in terms of what we're going to discuss. You can email your comments or questions to srankmediaclub@gmail.com. And for our group media experience, July is going to be the month of Monster Hunter World for the S-Rank Media Club. So for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be working our way up through the hunting ranks. We're going to be playing Monster Hunter World on PC. You can join up and party up with others in our Discord. It's a perfect time to play along with us and pick up Monster Hunter World because with the Steam Summer Sale, you can get it on PC for $14.99 through July 7th. So pick that up if you want. If you've ever thought about playing Monster Hunter World before, I've played a good amount of it, and it's pretty fun. Then next week's group media experience. So we're gonna watch a movie. Every week we tend to do a group media experience and then discuss it the next week. So we kind of were stuck between two. We could watch and talk about Free Guy, or we could watch and talk about All the President's Men. So we're gonna open this up to the chat. You guys have any suggestions between Free Guy and All the President's Men?
Free Guys on Paramount and All the President's Men's on
HBO Max, I believe.
Max?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys have a leaning either way?
I'm fine. I'd like to see Free Guy.
You haven't seen Free Guy before?
I know Ryan Reynolds is in it, so.
All right. Well, if there is no objections, then we will watch Free Guy for our group media experience next week. Free Guy it is. All right. And from the chat, Run It Up Tay700 agrees with Free Guy. All right. So our group media experience will be Free Guy next week. So go ahead, watch along with us. Come back next week, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be talking about Free Guy. We'll probably talk a little bit about Stranger Things, but I don't know if we'll get into spoilers since it'll be so new at that point. You can find me on Twitter at Boltron City. We stream this show live every Thursday at 9 p.m., 6 p.m. Pacific on Twitch and YouTube. The audio version of this podcast then uploads the following day to podcast feeds on all podcast platforms. If you like the show, please give us a follow on Twitch or YouTube, subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks a lot. Later.